Hello, everyone. My name is Byung-Yin Kim, and I'm Deputy Director from Digital Infrastructure Innovation Division of the Ministry of the Interior and Safety. For this session, we are going to learn about Korea's plan for cloud migration and integration of information resources in administrative agencies and public institutions. And now, we will find out how Korea has come to work on cloud migration and integration of information resources in administrative agencies and public institutions, as well as the methods, strategy, and future plan. From this lecture, we are going to learn about the contexts, policies, and environmental changes that lead Korea to work on cloud migration of administrative agencies and public institutions, and learn about the procedures of promoting cloud migration policies, and lastly how systems are deployed in public and private cloud centers, and how new public cloud centers are designated and managed. I'm going to talk about our cloud migration plan in this order, as you can see here. First, I'll give you a quick overview of the plan. In the Ministry of the Interior and Safety, we went through many rounds of revisions on the guideline for public institutions' use of the private cloud, which expanded the target from public institutions further to administrative and public institutions. The range of information systems that can be hosted in the private cloud has also widened from public service to internal business and service within public institutions. All of this was going in a direction where we gradually started to use the private cloud more actively. In the meanwhile, the outbreak of the COVID-19 even accelerated our cloud migration in full scale. The pandemic prevented many students from gathering in schools and having classes instead. Online classes increased. Also, the people's demand for digital service in the public sector increased dramatically. Example, service like the public mask app that gives information on the number of masks you can purchase in nearby pharmacies, and therefore, we needed to accelerate and scale up our digital government transformation. And then, we came to announce the K-New Deal as a strategy to speed up the sluggish economy in the pandemic. So the full-scale cloud migration of administrative agencies and public institutions was included as part of the K-New Deal projects. While all this was happening, many information systems that had been operated by small computing centers of administrative agencies and public institutions had lack of equipment, security vulnerabilities, and lack of fully dedicated manpower. They were facing operational limitations. So, against the backdrop, we are going to build a cloud-driven, integrated operation environment that ensures expertise and efficiency, so we can flexibly respond to the rapidly changing digital demand. We are going to improve public service stability by expanding and utilizing cloud centers, and we are going to work on phased cloud migration and integration of information resources in administrative agencies and public institutions until 2025, while taking their service life into account. The target of information system migration to cloud is the administrative agencies and public institutions, as defined in the Article Number 2 of the Electronic Government Act. Here, the administrative agencies include central administrative agencies and their affiliates, and local governments. The public institutions are corporations, organizations, local government-invested public corporations, and special corporations as defined in the Act on the Management of Public Institutions and the Local Public Enterprises Act. Now, I'm going to talk about the current state of the agencies and institutions working on cloud migration. Before we moved on with cloud migration, we did a survey in late 2020 on the information systems that are being operated in administrative agencies and public institutions. As the result, we found out 540 central administrative agencies, 245 local governments, and 476 public institutions. So a total of 1,261 institutions were operating 15,369 information systems out of a total 222,225 information resources. Next, we have some survey result showing the service life of information resources and the size of computing centers that are currently being operated. Of all the information resources being operated, 57.2% of servers, 55.2% of storages, and 50.7% of backup equipment, which means about more than 50% of equipment in overall have passed their service lifetime, so need to be replaced. Also, only 3.6% of the computing centers are large enough, with the size of 500 square meters larger, and 60% are small centers with the size of less than 100 square meters. Based on the survey result, we finally developed the plan for cloud migration and integration of information resources in administrative agencies and public institutions. So now, I'm going to introduce the main contents of the plan. The Cloud Migration Plan of the Ministry of the Interior and Safety is aimed at migrating the 50% of all the systems by 2022 and 100% by 2025, based on strategies of actively using private cloud, maintaining phased and constant migration based on institutional demand, and upgrading G-Cloud to PaaS or SaaS. Based on the types of institutions having the information systems that we have surveyed earlier and the system's security features, we decided the cloud centers to which the systems are going to be deployed. So, it was largely based on two things: the institution type and the system's security features. As for the systems that process important information, such as national security, investigations and trials, and internal business, we deploy them in the public cloud centers established and operated by the government, considering the security features of these systems. For your information, we have established NIRS, or the National Information Resources Service, for integrated operation of the national ICT, networks, and information systems, and this organization runs our public cloud centers in Daejeon and Gwangju. They have another one coming up in Daegu, which is going to open in 2022. Among the information systems that are to be hosted in the public cloud centers, we deploy the systems of central ministries in NIRS, Daejeon, and Gwangju centers, the systems of public institutions in NIRS, Daegu Center, and the local government systems in CLIV or other provincial level cloud centers. CLEARD, or the Korea Local Information Research and Development Institute, is a public organization established to develop local e-government and promote local informatization. All the systems that are not hosted in the public cloud centers are deployed in private cloud centers that are CSAP certified. As of now, we have the NIRS Daejeon and Gwangju centers designated as the public cloud centers. In the future, we are going to take the amount of extra room and operation environment into account and designate more public cloud centers. They need to have an enough area of 500 square meters or larger and meet the 82 items as security requirements. The Ministry of the Interior and Safety has specified the requirements as a notification. As for the designation process, an organization applies for designation as a public cloud center, and the Ministry of the Interior and Safety reviews the requirements and conditions of operation. The ministry goes through a separate deliberation process and notifies the institution of the result. We are also trying to develop public-private partnership, or PPP models, so we can provide reliable public service based on the know-how of the private sector's cloud service operation. The concept of the PPP model is the public sector providing the building and the private sector providing the equipment to build a cloud center, and the public sector managing its operation and control. The United States CIA, Department of Defense, and the federal government are also utilizing the private sector's technical expertise to build public cloud centers and operate or build important systems. The strengths of using the PPP model is that we take the verified cloud infrastructure and systems of the private sector and install them in a dedicated space, which means we can build a cloud center in a short period of time, and among the constantly changing technologies, we can apply the latest cloud technologies in their optimal conditions. Depending on the method, the PPP model can be the private sector provide the building and equipment, while the public sector manage the center. Or the public sector provide the building, while the private sector install equipment. We are developing cases where we use this model to build public cloud centers. In order to support stable operation of the public cloud centers, we are going to provide expert consulting and develop a standard SLA that specifies the roles and responsibilities of the center and tenants regarding the cloud service use. Also, we are going to continue to work for improving the quality of public cloud centers. For example, by conducting center evaluation, providing service level in stages, and awarding best cloud service centers. As I have explained earlier, we did a survey in 2020, and out of 15,369 information systems, we selected 10,009 information systems that will undergo cloud migration. This is a number excluding the systems for next-generation projects that are about to go through cloud integration, or the systems that will be hosted in the MIRS data center. With the selected systems, we are going to take into account how willing the institutions are about the migration, how long the system's service life is, and how easy the migration would be. And by the year 2025, we will have all selected systems migrated and integrated into cloud centers. At the end of each year, we are also applying the results of information system survey and cloud migration demand survey to the next year's action plan for cloud migration. Based on how we chose the cloud centers to deploy information systems, considering the institution type and security, we have divided 10,009 information systems into two groups, one to be hosted in the public cloud centers, and the other, the private cloud centers. By the year 2025, we are going to deploy 46% of the systems to the private cloud centers and the remaining 54% to the public cloud centers. All of the cost for cloud migration will be provided by the Ministry of the Interior and Safety until 2022. And from the year 2023, we are going to guide the institutions to prepare their own funding for migration of application programs. For those using the private cloud centers, we are going to provide 1 year's worth of fees. And for public cloud centers, we are going to provide the minimal amount of equipment, resource pool management tools, and cloud platform application. If there is a private SaaS that can replace the cloud system, we will first take this option into consideration. For the systems that are shared by multiple institutions, we are going to identify demand that can be developed through SaaS. Next, the future plan. As of August 2021, we are currently working on the cloud migration project. The project is being done largely in two parts: detailed designing and cloud migration. Based on the results of detailed designing, where we find out the as-is and to-be architecture, AP design, and cost calculation, we actually start working on the migration. In 2021, which is the first year of the migration project, we have been involved in detailed designing from April and cloud migration from July. We are going to finish detailed designing for the year 2022 in advance within this year, and we will go right into the migration at the beginning of the next year. That is it for my lecture. Thank you very much for your attention.